Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to learn how do we print the star pattern. The input for this program will be the number of lines and then the output will be this particular pattern, right? If the input is 4, this should be the output, and the input is 5, this should be the output, right? Okay. Generally what is asked is like there should be some spaces followed by star, then again some spaces followed by star, right? Okay. Now I've just used the hyphen symbols because it's more visible when compared to spaces. Okay, now let's try to understand this particular problem and then try to write a program for this. Now this is my first line number, right? In the first line number, how many spaces do we have? 3 spaces. How many stars? 1. This is line number 2. The number of spaces is 2. The number of stars is 3. This is line number 3. Spaces is 1 and number of stars is 5. Line number 4, the number of spaces is 0, the number of stars is 7, right? Okay, now let us also try to do it for this out here. Line number 1, the number of spaces is 4, the number of stars is 1, right? Now this part is line number 3, then okay, this is 2, this is 5, line number 4, spaces is 1, stars is 7, line number 5, spaces is 0 and number of stars is 9. Okay, now what we could observe here is the line number starts with 1, then goes on all the way up to n, right, in both the cases, but the number of spaces does not start with one fixed value. Now that is dependent on the number of lines. If the number of lines is 4, it starts with 3. The number of lines is 5, it starts with 4. If the number of lines were 10, then the starting value of this will be 9. Clear? Now given the number of lines what you want to print, total number of lines, and the current line number, can you generate this particular value, right? Okay, now you can just observe we get 4, which is the number of lines, minus the line number, which will give me the number of spaces to be printed here, right? Now the same way, 4 is again number of lines minus the current line number will give me 2, and then 4 minus the current line number will give me 1, then 4 minus the current line number gives me 0. Clear? Okay, exactly the same thing out here. Okay, total number of lines is 5 minus the current line number, which gives me 4, then number of lines minus the current line number. Okay, clear? So we basically identified a pattern like how do we generate the number of spaces to be printed in every line. Clear? Okay. Now let us also try to observe how many stars to be printed. Okay, you can just observe that the starting value is always 1, then keeps incrementing by 2 in every iteration. So if you want, you can basically use a variable wherein the initial value of that will be 1, and as you keep increasing it, in the every iteration, the number of stars can keep on incrementing by 2. Or the other way is, if you can find out some kind of relationship between the current line number and the number of stars out here. Okay, here, by saying the first line, you might say the line number and the number of stars is same, but it is applicable only for the first line. It's not applicable for second line. Like line number 2, the number of stars is not 2, it is 3, right? Line number 3, the number of stars is 5, right? So line number does not directly give me the number of stars, but you can observe that there is a pattern out here. The pattern what I have observed is 2 into current line number, right? What is 2 into 1, which is 2, okay, minus 1 will give me, again 2 into what is my current line number, 2, which will give me 4, minus 1 will give me, and again 2 into the current line number, which will give me 6, minus 1 give me 5. Same way, 2 into the current line number is 4, which is equal to 8, minus 1 will give me 7, right? Okay, now I have identified the equation for spaces and the equation for stars, right? In both the cases, the 1, 2, 3, 4 out here as well as here is based on the current line number, and the line number starts with 1. And here the 4, what you see is the number of lines, total number of lines what you want to print. But this 2 is fixed value. This 2 is fixed value. The -1 is also fixed value, right? Now let's jump into the program, guys. Now here is a beginning part of the program wherein I have a function which prints a given character n number of times. I've also used this in the previous examples, right? Now the input for this will be the number of lines what you want to print. Now I would like to start, you can give any meaningful name here, let's say line number. You can start with 1 and then go all the way up to n, right? Okay, I'll just give line number. We basically have an habit of giving I, right? Okay, clear? Okay, starts with 1, goes all the way up to n. You can just say 1, okay, goes all the way up to 4. 1 goes all the way up to 5. Clear? Okay, so we started with 1 and n is inclusive here. That is the reason why I've written less than or equal. Now first I need to print some spaces, or you can say hyphen character. I'd like to call the display function, right? So which character do you want to print? If you want space, just give a space. If you want to see a hyphen symbol, just give a hyphen symbol. How many times do we need to print? How many times? This is n minus the current line number, right? I'll just write I need to print n minus the current line number. This will give me the number of spaces, right? Okay, this will take care of number of spaces at the beginning. Okay, right. Now after printing the spaces, I need to print the star symbol. How many star symbols do I need to print? Again, we have observed that it is 2 into the current line number minus 1, right? Let's say 2 into the current line number minus 1, right? Okay, here multiplication is done first before subtraction, but still for better clarity, I'll just be using extra parentheses. Fine. And once, okay, both these things are printed, it means that whatever is the required thing to print in one line, that is done. So now we need to start with a new line. Since we need to start with a new line, okay, I'll just try to print a new line here. Simple. Okay. Now the file name what I've saved out here is pattern_3.c. I'd like to compile this particular program and then run this. I'd like to compile gcc pattern_3.c, okay, or whatever file name you use it, you just use the same file name while compiling it, and then run the program, right? 5. Oh, there is a problem out here. The problem out here is I missed out this ++ option, right? Now let's go there, try to recompile. Okay, 5, right? 3 or 8. Okay, now I could see the hyphen symbols. Now I'd like to remove this and then put a space there. Recompile it, this, right? And guys, quite a simple one. Okay, now if you were not using a function, probably you would have used the for loop 3 times. One, there would have been outer for loop, and for this you would have used one loop, and for this statement have used one loop. But since we have moved this particular operation into a separate function, and then you can in fact test this individual function once and then reuse it. That's the benefit of the functions. Okay, always okay, learn how to write modular program. Fine, thank you.